All right, guys, today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things ever, and that is getting a nap and the best way to take a nap. There's a lot of opinions about this, and not everyone's able to get a nap, but I am a big fan of that. I try to get one every day. As an adult, you look forward to them, you cherish them. As a child, you despise them. At least I did, and I think most children do. When I was in kindergarten, they used to make us take naps every day, and I'm wondering if they still do that. I'm sure they probably do that, like in pre-K, like at some of these daycare centers. It's probably a relief for the workers, and maybe it was for the kindergarten teacher too. But I just don't know if they do it in kindergarten anymore. Everything's set up differently. But I remember even before going to school, ever even attending kindergarten, my mom would make me take a nap every day, and I I did not like doing that at all. I felt I was going to miss out on something. Now, I look forward to missing out on things via taking a nap. And that's one of the perks of it, is that it is an escape, but it's also a way to recharge. But different people take different lengths of naps, and not all of us are the same. So I'm going to share just a very short article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to share bits and pieces of it with you, and then talk about certain famous people and how they viewed napping. So this comes out of Reader's Digest. This was written by Leslie Finley. One of the things she wrote in here is she said, Sarah Mednick, PhD, a cognitive neuroscientist at the University of California, Irvine, and author of The Power of the Down State, explains that when you fall asleep, your body moves through stages that each play a role in health. And most of us have heard these before, okay? So it's nothing new, but we're going to go through them anyway. Stage 1, the dozing off period. Stage 2, the muscles, heart rate, and brain activity slow down. Stage 3 is where you experience deep restorative sleep. And of course, stage 4 is REM sleep, where brain activity increases and you're most likely to dream. So she talks about the 20-minute nap. Between 20 and 30 minutes is one napping sweet spot, according to Mednick, who explains that you get enough stage 2 sleep to switch your body and mind into full relaxation mode, aiding with memory. I try to get a 20-minute nap every afternoon. I don't manage to be able to do that all the time, but that is what my goal is. I try to get a 20-minute nap every day, and that really, I can hit the ground running right after that when I do that. I'm completely recharged pretty much for the rest of the day if I can do it. The 60-minute nap. Stage 3 sleep is a time for your body to repair tissue, fortify the immune system, and recharge energy stores. But waking up during this phase can make you feel groggy, Mednick says. Most people start to move out of stage 3 after around 60 minutes, which makes it a good time to set your alarm. I know that if I was to take a 60-minute nap, well, sometimes I do that on the weekend. I'll take a 45-hour or an hour-long nap on the weekend, and it takes me much longer to come out of it. I don't feel better for it. I'm better off just kind of gritting my teeth and bearing it and getting through that stage of sleepiness where I get my next wind. And then the 90-minute nap. Now, this I don't understand. A complete sleep cycle is about an hour and a half. Now, that I understand, but that whole nap thing. And napping for a full cycle can have big benefits. But naps longer than 90 minutes can interfere with nighttime sleep and might even impair memory retention, according to a study in the Journal of the American Geriatrics Society. So I definitely couldn't. I can't do 90-minute naps. I might as well be down for the whole day if I'm going to do that. I just can't manage to sleep that long anyway. But anyway, getting past that, making my remarks further on this, there are famous people that took naps, and it might be worth discovering what they did because, well, a lot of times in our world we take cues from well-known individuals, don't we? Maybe we can learn something from them, maybe we can't. So there is a lady named Victoria Webster who wrote an article, and this is on the website, the Carousel. I think it's the carousel.com. I'll put it down below in a link. But she has this article called The 11 Most Surprising Famous People Who Loved to Nap. And I thought it was interesting. Some of this I've heard before. This article was written in November of 2022. I won't read the whole thing word for word. I'll just hit some of the highlights here. But anyway, the first one she talked about here was Winston Churchill. And it said Churchill was a bit of a diva when it came to naps. He believed it helped him get twice as much done each day. I do know that for a fact when I get my nap, regardless of what the different lengths are, among others, I am so much more productive. And I have a much better attitude, which is what your parents were trying to tell you they wanted you to do when you were little. You need a nap. Someone needs a nap. And but anyway, he felt like it helped him get twice as much work done. He said in his book, The Gathering Storm, he said, nature has not intended mankind to work from 8 in the morning until midnight without that refreshment of blessed oblivion, which, even if it only lasts 20 minutes, is sufficient to renew all the vital forces. I personally agree. Don't think you will be doing less work because you sleep during the day. That's a foolish notion held by people who have no imaginations. You will be able to accomplish more. You get 2 days in one. Well, at least 1.5. All right, that's what he had to say about it. Moving on down, we have Salvador Dali. He was an eccentric Catalan artist, and he talked about he had a tip for taking naps and not taking really long ones. He called it slumber with a key. So in his book, Salvador Dali, 50 Secrets of Magic Craftsmanship, he had 5 steps to the ultimate nap. Okay, so step 1 was sleep sitting upright in an armchair. Okay, in an armchair. That's important to remember because you have to have something to prop your arm up on. Number 2, hold a heavy metal key in your hand. All right. Number 3, place a metal plate upside down underneath the hand holding the key. Number 4, allow yourself to drift to sleep. Once this happens, you will drop the keys, which will hit the plate and make a huge clang. Okay? Number 5, wake up and congratulate yourself on achieving a micro nap. So that's what he said. Now, I had something similar I did when I was a late teenager. I think I must have been about 18 or 19. I was in church, and I had a hard time staying awake. So I would, in the pew, I would kind of sit a little cocked to the side, have my arm up on the pew like this, and I would hold these fingers like this. And as soon as I started to doze off, my hand would drop, and it'd wake me up. It'd jolt me. It's similar to what he's talking about. It's not the exact same thing, but I understand the principle here. Now, Albert Einstein, he claimed that he needed 10 hours of sleep a day. He practiced micro-napping. And he would do something similar. He would sit in his favorite armchair holding a pencil or a spoon and begin to doze off. And when the object dropped, it'd make a loud clang or whatever. And then it would wake him up. And so they call this, I guess some people call this a hypnagogic nap. Not sure. I haven't even looked up that word, but anyway, I guess you can use your imagination. She says waking up during the first stage of sleep taps into the part of the brain that creates vivid imagery and sensation. All right, number 4 here, Leonardo da Vinci. So he was an interesting character. So while he was painting the Mona Lisa, he was only living on 2 hours of sleep a day. But it's reported that he would take 15-minute naps every 4 hours. In other places, I read that he took 20-minute naps every 4 hours, but this is what he claimed to do. And it's called polyphasic sleep. Now, this apparently is a thing. Like, there are people who actually practice this, and I am not a fan. I do not subscribe to that. Which, speaking, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. But I just couldn't do that. I couldn't live like that. They just don't get any sleep at night. They just take a 15 or 20-minute nap every 4 hours. I think I've seen YouTube videos where people have actually experimented with that, but I have no interest in trying that for myself. If you have, let me know. You might have a quirky sleeping schedule like that. So Then we have Napoleon Bonaparte. My sleep schedule resembles his more than anybody else's. Napoleon apparently lived by the rules on hours of sleep of 6 for a man, 7 for a woman, and 8 for a fool. However, he could go for days without sleep while devoting himself to a military pursuit and was able to drop off in an instant on cue, even on the battlefield. I could do that. I can fall asleep very fast. Like when I settle down to take a nap, I just focus on not moving. I just do not move at all. I don't move a muscle, and within a minute or two, I'm out. And I stay that way until the alarm goes off. And I can almost do that any time of the day, anywhere. Ask my wife; it annoys her to death. Okay, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. It says here, JFK enjoyed his 1 to 2 hour afternoon siesta with his beautiful wife, Jackie. She even advised Kennedy's successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, to take up the habit because it had worked so well for her and her husband. 2 hours during the middle of the day. Man, how do you have time as a president to do that? But that's what he did. Thomas Edison. I read a book on Thomas Edison, so I'm familiar with this, a biography by Edmund Morris. Really good book. Edison would take naps frequently in a lot of places. He got very little sleep every night, and about 3 or 4 hours. And he could be seen napping. There's a lot of photos of him napping in various places. So he was a big believer in taking cat naps frequently. So then we have Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States. It was said that he was extremely ashamed of his naps. He had his wife deny all rumors of his daytime snoozes. It was said that she was afraid her husband would be perceived as lazy. Reagan himself was more lighthearted, saying that his chair should be inscribed with Ronald Reagan slept here, and jokingly added that no matter what time it is, wake me up, even if it's in the middle of a cabinet meeting. So Ronald Reagan liked naps. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher and scientist who died in 322 BC, he believed in the power of hypnagogic napping and the state between asleep and wake for inspiration and genius. Doesn't really say a whole lot about him, but other than that, and we've already talked about what that is, Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, she lived on 4 hours of sleep at night and scheduled a 1 hour nap in the middle of the afternoon. This sounds like my mother. Growing up, I always knew my mother as someone who pretty much got like 4 hours of sleep at night. She gets more than that now, I'm sure, but that's how she was. Bill Clinton had a ritual of a nap after lunch most days. It says here he also loved to snooze in public. I don't love to snooze in public. I'm afraid I'm going to snore. Okay. He was also constantly caught in the act, whether at a Mets game, Ronald Reagan's funeral, or at a Harlem church under the scrutiny of video cameras. He was not at all ashamed of his naps, unlike his affairs. He said, on the days when I'm a little short of sleep, I try to work it out so that I can sneak off and just lie down for 15 minutes, half an hour. And it really makes all the difference in the world. He said, here's his tip. Here's his tip for getting a good nap. He says, it says here, his tip for those who can't nod off was to imagine a big hole in the back of my head and I focus on that. That speaks volumes. Well, anyway, that was Bill Clinton's way. His tip for taking a nap: imagining the hole in the back of his head. Well, some of us have a hole in our head already. We just don't focus on it. Quite apparent to others, to ourselves, not so much so. Anyway, to add to all of this, I looked up a few others, and Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm sure you know who he is, right? Okay. I read that he does not get more. It says he gets no more than 8 hours of sleep, but he takes up to 5 90-minute naps every day. How in the world? I would feel the same way I did when I was a little kid. I feel like I'm missing out on something if I'm asleep that much. And he apparently has no problem with that. I don't know how you find time to get up to 5 90-minute naps when you're also getting up to 8 hours of sleep. I wouldn't need to sleep at night. But the only tip I can offer is, for me personally, I get no more than most time, at least through the week, a 20-minute nap in the afternoon somehow. And yeah, I probably, that's what I probably try to do. But then when I close my eyes, I really just focus on not moving a muscle at all. And if I have, and I'm not really obsessed with actually falling asleep. Okay. I don't make that my ultimate goal. My point is to get rest and to feel rejuvenated. So even if I don't actually fall asleep, as long as I close my eyes, don't move, and just relax, I still get the same effect as if I had slept. Okay? And but going beyond that, when I sleep at night, if I really have a hard time falling asleep, which I don't for the most part, I'll count my breaths, I'll count my inhales and exhales, and usually by the time I get to 20, I'm out. Sometimes I don't even remember getting to 20 most of the time. But it relaxes me doing that. It's kind of like counting sheep, but that never worked for me. I count my breaths, I count my inhales and exhales, and so that works for me. But anyway, do you get naps? Do you take naps? Do you like them as much as I do? Do you cherish them? Do they work for you? And how long do they extend? All right, that's what I'd be interested in knowing. And what is your tip for getting the best nap possible? Because I'm assuming that it can't be the same for everybody. All right, it's probably unique to each and every one of us. But I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope it's giving you some good ideas, and maybe you should pencil that in. Put it in your schedule. Plan on getting a nap. And I think, like Bill Clinton said, it will make all the difference in the world. Although that's probably about the only advice that I'd take from him. All right, guys, I've enjoyed it. I hope this has meant something to you. Make sure you hit the like button. Once again, subscribe if you haven't already. Tap the notification bell. And share this with others. All right. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.